Hello everyone, welcome to Knitting Know-How. This is Sherry. I'm going to show you how to knit stitches. So you're going to need 2 needles and yarn. And so let's get started. Okay, so I've already taken and put the cast on stitches on my left needle, and you're going to hold that in your left hand, as so. And you're going to take the empty needle and you're going to place that in your right hand. You're going to take your yarn, your working yarn, and you're going to also put that in your right hand. So this is how I hold my yarn, my working yarn, and it's over my first finger and kind of through the other 2 fingers here. And so I'm going to show you how to knit. When you knit stitches, you're always going to place your yarn, your working yarn, behind, not in front, but behind your needle, in the back of your needle. Okay, and so what you're going to do is, now on the stitches, I refer to the side of the stitch as the left and right, and the first stitch is the one nearest the point of the needle on that left hand side. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in on the left-hand side, go through the stitch in front of the stitch, and I'm going to take my working yarn and I'm going to put it under and over that right needle so it's sitting between the 2 needles. I'm going to pull my working yarn and my right needle down, and as I pull down, I want to make sure that my needles stay in constant contact with each other. So you're going to slide them on each other. So what you're going to do, let me just show you this. You're going to bring your right needle and yarn down, not too tight on the yarn, and not too loose. So you're going to come down, keeping that right needle against the left needle, and as you slide it, you're going to go through the stitch on the left needle. So let me show you that again. You're going to go down with the right working yarn and needle. You're going to take and slide your needle against the other needle as you slide through the stitch. Again. You want to keep the yarn, you don't want it too loose, but you don't want it too tight either, because you got to pull it through there. So here we go. You're going to slide the right needle and the working yarn down. Keep your needles touching at all times. You're going to slide it through the stitch on the left needle. And you'll see that on this needle, your new stitch is formed. Now to complete that stitch, you want to take the needle on the right and you're going to pull the stitch on the left needle off with that right needle. Okay, so let's do it again. Your string is in the back, or yarn, and you're going to take your right needle, insert it in the front left side of that first stitch on the left needle. Sorry, I'm not in the camera. Sorry. So you're going to go right in there like that and push it through. Push that needle through. Okay. So then you're going to take your working yarn and you're going to go over. You want to go under and over the right needle so that your working yarn is between the 2 needles. Now you're going to hold your working yarn and your right needle, and you're going to pull those together down. And you don't want your yarn too tight, your working yarn, but you don't want it too loose either. Keep your needles in constant contact with each other. Pull it through the center of that stitch. Okay? And at this point, you've got your new stitch. And you've got your old stitch here on the left needle. So you're going to take the right needle and you're going to take and pull the left stitch off the left needle. Just that stitch, not the other ones, just that one stitch, like that. All right, let's do it again. Take your right needle. Oh, make sure your yarn is in the back of the right needle. Go take the right needle in on the left side of in the front of that stitch on the left needle. You want to take your working yarn, go under and over the right needle. The yarn should be between the two needles. Take the working yarn and the right needle, and you're going to pull down, and you're going to keep your needles in constant contact. Come through the stitch on the left needle. There's your new stitch right there. And here is the one on the left needle still. Take the right needle and pull it to the right, and the left stitch should slip off, holding the other ones so they don't go off with it. All right. Now you have 3 knitted stitches. So let's try that again. Okay. Your yarn is in the back of the right needle, the working yarn. You have the right needle goes in on the left side of the first stitch on the left needle, and it's going through the front of that stitch. Now you're going to take the working yarn and go under and over the right needle so that it's between the 2 needles. You're going to take your working yarn and your right needle, and you're going to pull down, keeping the tips of the right needle on the left needle at all times. You're going to slide it forward through the front. There's your new stitch, and here's the stitch from the left needle still. Now you're going to take the right needle and you're going to take and pull it to the right. As you do that, your left stitch will slip off, completing that knitted stitch. Okay. So we're going to just work the next 4, and I'll explain as I go. Okay, so your yarn is in the back of the right needle. Your right needle goes in the front of the first stitch on the left needle. Then you're going to take your working yarn under and over the right needle. You're going to take your working yarn and your needle, right needle, and pull it down as you keep your needles in constant contact. Pull it through, and then you're going to take it and pull the right needle to the right as you slip the left stitch off. Okay. Again, working yarn is in the back of the right needle. Right needle goes in on the left side of the first stitch on the left needle into the front of that stitch. Your working yarn goes under and over the right needle in between the 2 needles. Take your working yarn and your right needle, and you're going to pull down as you keep the tip and the left needle touching at all times. You're going to pull it through your yarn, working yarn, through the stitch on the left needle. There it is, right there. New stitch. Here is the old stitch on the left needle. Right there. So then you're going to take and pull the needle to the right to take the stitch off the left needle. Just that one. Okay, that completes that stitch. Okay, so then we do it again. Working yarns in the back on the right needle. Take your right needle, insert it on the left side of the stitch on the left needle. through the front. You're going to take your working yarn, go under and over the right needle. It should be between the two needles. Take your working yarn and your right needle and pull down as you stay in constant contact with your other needle. Pull it through. There's your working stitch that you pulled through. And here is your old stitch right there on the left needle. So you're going to take your right needle and you're going to pull it to the right to take the left stitch off of the left needle. All right, and then we're going to do it one more time. Working yarn is in the back of the right needle. The right needle goes in on the left side of that first stitch on the left needle in the front of that stitch. Take your working yarn under and over the right needle. Should be between the two needles. You take your working yarn and your right needle. Pull down as your needles stay in constant contact, and you pull your working stitch through on the right needle. Take the right needle and you pull it off, and your left stitch comes off the left needle. And there you have it. You have knitted your first row. Now with these steps, you can actually complete a project, whether it be a sweater or gloves or, anything with that one stitch. So I'm going to work a row so you can see it without any interruptions. You can kind of see the flow, how the hands go as I do it. So you're going to insert okay, there it is. And I'll do it one more time. Okay, and every time, and I just want to give you a note, because I don't know if you know this, when you get finished knitting, and you come to the end, and everything's on the other needle, you're going to take your work, and you're going to turn it. So when they say turn your work, that's what that means. You're going to turn it, and you're going to go back and do the other side. So now, one side's going to be your front and one side's going to be your back. So you can determine that yourself. And then some projects tell you. So it's whatever you choose. So let's go ahead and do that again. So you can kind of see. Okay. I'm trying to put the needles where you can see it. And when you you'll get faster, and now you don't want to go so fast that you're just making mistake after mistake. If that happens, that means you're going too fast. It's kind of like reading. Everybody has a certain speed that they read and comprehend better at, and the same with knitting. If you're making too many mistakes, you might want to slow down. If you're not making many, then more power to you. So anyway, that is how to knit stitches. And when you knit stitches back and forth on both sides, it should look exactly the same. And you can get started on any project with this simple stitch. And I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so very much for watching.